Hi everyone, we're going to get started and welcome today to JOVACO's TEDI.5 official launch of our new product, of our new timesheet, and we are excited to have you with us today. Just to give you a short introduction on myself, my name is Tanya Kaczynski. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at JOVACO and have been around since JOVACO since 2009. I'm also on the product development team for TEDI.5, so any suggestions that we get throughout the years from our customers or from others, I'm the one who brings them to the table and works with the development team to get the new system up and running. So this is really my baby, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask either in the chat box, or we'll leave time at the end of the presentation to discuss in more detail. Just to give you a little background on JOVACO, we've been around for over 30 years now with over 250 active customers, most of them here in Quebec. We have over 50% of our client base as project-based firms, thanks to our timesheet and our project-based application, which includes an entire suite of project management tools that are fully integrated to Dynamics GP. Here in Montreal, we're about 50 employees. This includes consultants, developers, and support staff. As well as we're proud to say that we've had customers with us for over 20 years, not just because they like us or because of our products and services, but also the product of GP and our project suite allows for a system that can grow with your business. So we've seen firms go from 25 employees all the way up to 2,000, and we have a large breadth of clients in our client base here in Quebec. Just to give you a little background on the history of our TEDI product, TEDI actually stands for Time and Expenses Done on the Internet. This was very cool back in 2003. Now we just call it TEDI for short, because if it wasn't done on the internet now, we would be behind the times. But our first version was launched in 2003 with a version called TEDI Java that still actually exists today for some of our users. Since then, we've had two other versions, a version called ASP, light version for those who needed access to the internet, and then after that we did a version in Silverlight, which was called TEDI SL. So our new version is now in HTML5, so that's why it's called TEDI.5. Yes, we've only had 4 versions, but we named them after our technology. So this is our 4th iteration, and we're going to now show you what's new in the product. So for this new version, what the goals really were performance in regards to speed to load, speed to enter data, and also performance for the user, so that they'd have fewer clicks and be able to enter their information faster into the system. We also have added a couple of new concepts, such as favorites, so that employees can find themselves and don't have to always look for the project that they need to allocate time to. We've also added a contextual help, an auto-save button. We also are very proud to say that this version is responsive and mobile ready, so you can use it on a tablet or other mobile devices, and we also have backwards compatibility. If you are using one of our previous versions, you'll still be able to do so as you transition to this new version. So that was really some of the key points that we wanted to keep in mind while we were building it. So here it is. This is our new timesheet. So it's been completely redesigned in a newer, more modern look and feel, and it's based on a HTML5 technology, as I mentioned before. And here's just some of the different looks on a standard computer view or in a stand-up, more confined view. This makes it easier for resources who are users who are viewing it via a smaller applet, or even if you're viewing it on a screen that's vertical instead of horizontal, you'll be able to still view your information in a clear and concise manner. It's also browser agnostic, so if you have a preference for Chrome or Edge, any of the following, there's no problem to use them. So just a couple of general functionalities on how the product works before we go into it. So I want to just show you a couple screenshots. So we have the concept of a advanced search as well. So you can either do a basic search, whereas just you start typing in the name of your project, and you'll have the results for all of those that include that word within that you've typed in your search. Or we have an advanced tree search. So this is based on the project's work breakdown structure. So depending on the number of phases that you have, you'll be able to drill down to be able to see all of your choices that you have before adding a product. I'll show you this in real time when we actually get to the demo. And then we also have added a couple of shortcuts. So one of our new ones is the concept of favorites. So you can have some that, let's say they don't come into your calendar every week, but they're still ones that you use on a regular basis, so you don't want to have them too far or don't always have to go searching for them. So you can have a list of favorites that makes it easy to add them to your timesheet. And we also have a concept of recurrences and recents. So this also allows you to see what you've done recently in your timesheet, because chances are you're working on the same project for a couple of weeks in a row. So this allows you to quickly go back into your previous weeks and add it without having to go through the search or the advanced search to find the exact project that you coded time to in a previous period. Another concept that we're going to show you this morning is our tasks intervals and our in and out times. What this means is for a particular project and for a particular day, you can go in and add in intervals of time that you're working on it. So if you're working on the same project or task for a certain number of time, you can hit the start button, and then when you're finished that task, hit the end button. So it kind of gives you like a type of timer so that it'll automatically calculate for you the total time that you've spent within a day on that particular task. And if you go back and do other time throughout the day, you can just go back and do a start and finish and add time and it'll automatically calculate for you. So you're sure that you're entering the time that you've actually done, and you don't have to go back and keep it on a paper on the side that you have a potential to lose. It's really all within your system right from the beginning. Also, this is more from a managerial standpoint, but you can have also an in and out for the day. So what this means is when you can clock in the morning, you can clock out at lunchtime, clock back after lunch, and clock in at the end of the day. This will give you your total number of hours for the day, and there's even some companies where what they will do is they'll match their in and out clock time versus the number of hours that they've added to the day to make sure that they haven't forgotten anything or any time that should be allocated to their particular day. Another concept that makes mobile versions more feasible is the concept of an autosave. So now you no longer have to hit save at the top of the screen in order to save your timesheet. It'll automatically save every 5 seconds after any type of modification. So once it has been saved, your little floppy disk will go back to green, knowing that all your time has been saved. So if there's any shortages in the internet or anything gets dropped, you won't lose that much of your information as it is saved fairly frequently. Another concept is within the actual application, there's a concept of error validation. So you can have certain business rules that you add to your system in order to make sure that all the information that you need to add is being added to your system. So I'll show you this in a little more detail, but some of them could be that a reference is required, that you can't exceed a certain number of hours in a day, and these won't prevent you from entering your timesheet, but it will prevent you from sending your timesheet. So that this just makes sure that your corporate business rules are being met, and that this also saves from an administrative standpoint later on so that they don't have to do as many adjustments to the timesheet, and it's really up to the user to fix their timesheet before sending it. The last one I wanted to speak about today was our planned tasks. So what this means is that project managers can now allocate tasks to users within their timesheet. So when they go into their timesheet, they'll be able to see exactly what their task is to do, how much time has been budgeted, and how many hours they've done for the week so far. This will allow project managers and other members of the team to view what has been imputed to the project in real time so that everyone can stay up to date in regards to the project. There's also a notion of revised time. So let's say you were given 30 hours, you've used 9 to now, you're currently at 21. But let's say you know as a fact it'll take more than 21 hours, you can enter a revised time here that'll send a notification back to the project manager letting them know that it'll take more time. This will not affect the budget in automatically within the system. It'll be up to the project manager to decide whether they want to adjust for it or how they want to deal with the situation. It's really just a means of communication between the users and the project managers. So now I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint and I'm going to go into the live demo. So what you see here is our actual timesheet. What I have here is one of the error messages that I was talking to you about earlier. So here's another different type of reference. So I wanted to use some of my bank time instead of a vacation this week, but it says that I don't have any time in my bank hours and I've asked for 7.5. So from here what I'll do is I'll add another line to my timesheet, and this you'll be able to see some of my favorites that I have here. So I have my PTO time, which is what I'm going to add in a second, but I also have my recent. So I can see that my bank time that I added here has fallen into my recent category. And then from here, it's really simple to add another line in my timesheet. I just have to click, or I can drag and drop, and these lines will automatically be added. As you can see, it's already been flagged as a favorite since it's in my favorite category. And from here, I can go and say that I'm going to be taking a vacation day. And then from here, I'll just say day off, and then I can add in my time in the row that I want. Apparently, I don't have any vacation time either, but we're going to leave that here for now. I can also add in a comment saying that please give me the time off. So you can leave notes for your different managers as well, and you also can add attachments. So from here you can see that within my generic project I worked 2 hours. I left a comment, and that's denoted by the little triangle in the corner of the screen, and I also added an attachment. These attachments can be anything to do with, let's say you have a document, an agenda. In this case, it's my personal favorite, Grumpy Cat, but you can add whatever you need to in order to upload additional information that might be useful when having your timesheet approved. I'm going to go ahead and show you the intervals. So what this shows you is what I mentioned before, so that you just have to enter a short description, and then from here you can pick your start time. So you can say I started it at 12 and I ended it now, and it automatically round up based on the business rules within the system. Then from here you can quickly add a new line going meeting, and then that can start at the next hour, and then you can just have it rolling until later, or nothing stopping you from going in to say, I know it's going to go until 1, and then my time is automatically calculated for me here. You can also view your in and outs for the day. So by clicking on here, this is where you can go in and add in my time. So I started at midnight, and let's say I started at noon, and then I went until 2 p.m. before taking my lunch. And then as you see here, you can see the notification that the time is now in red, indicating that your in and out time does not match the time that you've inputted for that particular day. So that's just a fun feature that we've added so that you can know you want to match your time. It's not a mandatory feature within the system, so if that's not necessary, that your in and outs match your total hours for the day, that's not a problem either. So I'm just going to quickly show you the advanced search. So from here, this is all of the projects that are open that myself, Lindsay Vaughn, can access right now. So I'm just going to go into one in particular. If the project structure has already been set up, then there's nothing for me to do, but just check the boxes of which tasks I want to include. So in this case, I want to include more than one at a time because I did both an overview presentation as well as some documentation, and then those get added to my timesheet just like that. So on to activities. This is what I was mentioning earlier in regards to having tasks that already exist. And from here you can add in the time. So you don't actually have to go back and add these tasks or activities to your timesheet. They are always there for you. They'll be in another tab. So these are ones that you do, the time are the ones that you do ad hoc. So as I was mentioning before, banked hours, vacation, and any certain projects that you work during the week that aren't typically planned. And then I also have my activities down here, which are planned, giving me the number of hours that I have to work on it, as well as the number of hours that I've put on the project to date. So here, let's say I know it's going to be another 30. Here's my little indicator to demonstrate that the time has been changed and will be notified, and my project manager will be notified. So that is in regards to our timesheet. I also wanted to show you, so here is our recurring lines. So let's say there are some lines that you know will be in your timesheet every week for the next couple of weeks. You can also have a concept of recurring lines. So what this would mean is that every week this line is pre-populated in your timesheet. So you don't have to go in and add it, and this will be exactly there. Sometimes you'll just want to go and you can change the cost item here if it's something different, but the actual project structure will always show up and will always be the same. So that's our timesheet. Oops, I almost forgot to show you just some of our user preferences that are available here as well. So you also have access to your bank of hours and vacation, as well as your sick bank. So this is integrated to Dynamics GP, and from here the users can go in themselves and view how many hours that they have, if they've banked any time, any vacation time, as well as if they have any sick hours left. These are all views that you can add or not add depending on your company's preferences, but these are all ones that are available for to make it more of an easier self-service for your users, so they don't always have to go back to the HR team asking them how many vacation days left do they have for the current year that they've accumulated or for the previous year that they're allowed to take. And also we can quickly go from English to French, so depending on the user's preference, they can go through that as well. And we also have our online help here, which is a how-to guide depending on if they want to know more about how a particular activity or functionality works. So I'm going to go back now and show you a little bit in regards to our expenses. So our expenses are here. It's been fully redesigned, so if you've seen our timesheet in the past or our expense report in the past, it is very different. It has a new look and feel. It has the same notion as when you were entering lines to your time, where you'll have your favorites, you'll have your recurring, you'll have your recents, but we've also added another section called In Your Timesheet. So if there have been additional lines that have been added to your timesheet in regards to projects, and that project also has expenses that are available that can be added to it as well, within your expenses section you'll have a new section called In Your Timesheet. So it'll show that I've added time to my Tower Lot 123 project. Chances are I might also have expenses that are linked to that as well. Adding or editing expenses, this is just an easier way. So if you go in and make a mistake on either the rate, the amount, or the day that it is, this can easily be adjusted within the expense line. You don't have to delete it and re-enter it. We also automatically calculate the exchange rate. If you know the amount in Canadian dollars that shows up on your Visa bill, and then you know the amount that was charged when you got the receipt at the restaurant when you were traveling to the States that month, you don't have to automatically calculate, the system will automatically calculate the rate for you. Or if you know the Canadian amount, the rate that is within Dynamics GP will automatically be populated to give you an amount in USD. You can also add an attachment. So let's say you have a receipt or something that'll go along as backup to that expense. You don't need to now go print your expense report and staple them together. You can now just attach them to your expense report, and they'll automatically be sent when you send your expense report to your manager. So we've also added a concept of subtotals. So these, we have a plethora of different ways that you can do it. I'll show you that in a little more details after. And then just to show you that you can do it by either rate or by dollar amount. And now, this being said, I'm going to go into the demonstration to show you how this is done. So it's just another tab on your timesheet. So now we're going to be looking at expenses. So from here you can see we have the paperclip that we can review what receipt has been added. And as always, it's my good old Grumpy Cat that has been included there as well. And I can also add in comments, and then when you're printing your expense report, you'll be able to see the comments that go with it too. So the print button is right here, and you'll be able to print it out if need be, if you need to have it signed by somebody else. Let's say you have different projects where you can have mileage, you can have meals. So we have the notion of quantity, which is in a dollar amount, or we also have a notion of units. So if we filter by that, we can see that the mileage has already been taken into account, and the rate is automatically set. This is set by within the project software in the setups, so that it's not up to the user to decide, and this can be changed by the different projects that exist. So now I'm going to go in and add a time just to show you what it's about. So we added in the Kaizen demo in one of the lines, so we got added to the in my timesheet function. So we'll go in here. And then from here I get to choose what cost item it was. So I'm going to decide that it was a taxi to lunch with the client. And then the system here is in US dollars, so that's my functional currency, but it does support multiple currencies. So if you're traveling all around the world, that shouldn't be a problem. It piggybacks on Dynamics GP's multi-currency settings. And then if you have different tax schedules, this is more for accounting purposes. So if you can recapture taxes depending on the different place, you can add in the different tax schedules that are available there as well. So then we pick the date that this expense occurred, and then we put in the amount. So that was a cheap lunch with a client, but and then we can just quickly add it here. And because we're sorting by amounts, you'll be able to see that the US and the Canadian dollar amounts have been separated. And then we also get to see what you spend in the foreign currency and what you'll be reimbursed in your functional currency. So this is how the expense sheet works, and it's pretty straightforward. It has really the same notions as the timesheet, which makes it easier for users to go back and forth between the different tasks that they'll have to do. So now moving forward to a sneak peek to our Approvals tab. So Approvals is something that already exists in our previous version. It's being rolled out by the end of the year, but I figured I'd show you guys a sneak peek while I have you on the phone today. So our approval will look very similar and will have the same UI as our time and expenses has right now. So now you'll be able to see all the members that are in your approval group, and then from here you can select more than one at a time and then approve all of those who have 37 or 37.5 hours and that you know that their time is fine, and you can send it out. But for those who have abnormal timesheets for whatever reason, you can review those ones in a little more detail on their own afterwards. So this is also to show, let's say you have more than 1 week. You are a bad manager and haven't approved your timesheets, all of those from the previous week. So you'll be able to see which ones for which period have to be approved, so that Flash McQueen's up here is probably more urgent. You'll be able to review it right away. So it just makes it easier for project managers or general supervisors to know which timesheets have been submitted for which weeks. And also, in addition to, it's not just the time, but you'll be able to review the expenses. We also have a notion of internal fees. Internal fees is when you have, let's say, a type of expense that you want to charge back to a client, but not necessarily charge back to the user. Let's say it's using equipment or making photocopies. So this is usually a unitary amount, so that you'll be able to review it. It helps the accounting team know that this has to get billed back, but will not be billed back to the resource. This could also be per diems or something like that. We also have a notion of percentage of customer billable time. So if we have a notion of projects being known as client-facing or not, and if that is important to you, you can activate this feature so that if certain members of the team, such as Flash McQueen over here, he has objectives to meet in regards to his percentage of billable hours, they'll be able to track it themselves, and you'll be able to track it as well from a manager's perspective. Trying to get through this before the end of the time is up. You also have a notion of making it bigger to see the different types of hours that could be available. So we have 4 different types. So we have regular, overtime, and special time. We also have different other ones available. So if you're doing regular time, where it's taking place, because sometimes customers like being billed out at different rates or have been negotiated at different rates if work is being done at your office versus on-site work. So let's say you go in and then Beatrice and Flash McQueen's, you want to review their expenses in more detail, or you want to approve their expenses but not their time. There'll be an individual approve and reject button for each of the different items, so that you can go in and do it individually rather than as a lump sum. If you do agree with that their expenses are fine for that particular period, but maybe not their time, that they would have to go back and adjust. So this is what it would look like in regards to showing what has been approved, what has been rejected, and what's in white is still has to be actioned on. So you'll know it's very visual to see what has left to be done for that particular period. If you have to review one in more detail, it'll open a side panel, and from here you'll be able to review the time, expenses, and internal fees for that particular user for that particular week. So from here you'll be able to go in, view their different attachments, view their comments, and then really drill down to make sure that what you're seeing meets what they actually inputted, and then from here you can make an informed decision whether we want to approve or reject their timesheet. So I'm running out of time. I'm going to quickly jump into the question period, but before I do so, I just wanted to kind of conclude with a why JOVACO. We've been around for over 30 years, as I mentioned earlier, and we are able to speak with you to discuss your processes and quality of work. We've been doing it for a while now, and we really specialize in the professional services field as well as any other project-based type of business. We have the ability to develop specific functionalities, so we're more than just a Dynamics GP VAR. We also have a development team on place to do applications such as this one that you viewed today, as well as others in our project suite group. We are a full service provider with consulting services as well as support and technical services as well. And we really believe that a phased project planning approach is the best when implementing a new software system, so that you really get to learn one step before moving on to another, and that to ensure the project's success. And then we are able to adapt to your needs and priorities as we have the experience and know what you need. So without further ado, I'm going to open it up to questions. We'll check in the chat box if there are any right now. If not, I will thank you for your time, and we will be following up with you, or if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. My name again is Tanya, and have a good day. Oh, I did get a question. Does your system integrate with project accounting? No, ours is a replacement to GP's project accounting system, so we do have a migration path available. So we do have additional functionalities that are not available in GP's project accounting module. These have to do with multi-currency as well as multi-company functionalities. If you would like to learn more about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me after this event, and I'd be more than happy to discuss this with you in more details. I'll stay on the line for a couple more minutes, and if I don't hear from anyone else, I'd like to thank you for your time, and have a good day.